we have Janice waiting on the line.
All right, bring it on.
Janice, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. I actually have two unrelated questions. The first one is
go right
probably
ahead.
more in the wheelhouse. So the first one is probably more in the wheelhouse of the guest star than the second one. Where does squirting come from? If there's any kind of consensus on that, is it from the bladder? Is it from somewhere else?
Okay. Should I go?
Please do.
Should I
Go right ahead.
I'm
Okay.
fascinated. I've heard every side of this debate, and I'd love to hear what you've got to say. Jump in.
I think is both things are true. So there is a little way that women can squirt, but it's just such a minute volume. This little gland that apparently can release some liquid, but I think if you're really wet anyway, I don't really think you notice a massive difference. But the sort of massive squirting is definitely urine related. You know, when it's kind of squirts like half a meter away. The reason why I know this very well is because I used to have very problems with squirting. This is like going into really detail, but it's kind of interesting from the scientific perspective, because when I removed my uterus and my bladder was less pressured and moved, it stopped. So it is completely 100% bladder related after having this interesting scientific study done on myself. but I know it also from a lot of other literature. So both are true. There's a small gland that can release a tiny amount of some sort of like viscous liquid, but then there's like big squirting is urine.
Yeah, and I think anecdotally, just most any porn star that you talk to about the subject will back that up pretty much 100%. There's a lot of internet chatter about it, but I feel like the science is fairly settled here.
Yeah, there's a lot of men have had a lot of opinions on this. It is not urine, because if it were urine, I'd be like into like wet play, and they never want to admit to anything like that.
They try to retcon. They try to retcon the definition, whereas in actuality, they are into it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, just one quick test. Try to masturbate with an extremely full bladder and see what happens.
There you go.
Put down a rubber sheet if you need to, but have fun. Have fun. I mean, enjoy yourself. It's your body.
Yeah.
Enjoy. And Janice, you said you had another question.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I've squirted with both a full and a very recently emptied bladder, but it definitely smells different. So I knew there was a urine component at the very least. Mm-hmm. So the other question that's not biological is about sourcing ethical porn, stuff where the consumer can be confident that it's not been recorded clandestinely and that the performers are being paid well, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there are several really good sites for that. My ex-girlfriend was actually...
All right, we work on getting Dr. Anna back. Sorry to say,
there she is.
Oh, yep.
And
we just lost you for a sec.
Okay.
You're back now.
So
you were telling us a partner of yours worked in ethical porn creation.
Yeah, exactly. So there are several good sites. I think they're like the Suicide Girls and God's Girls. I think, if I remember correctly, are like pretty okay with that. But there are several sites out there that basically are ethical porn or like body positive porn as well, and such. So it's definitely sites out there, and we can actually follow the creators and support them directly and such. So yeah, it's out there.
Yeah, I love the advent of OnlyFans and things. Martin, go right ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's a big one, is body positive porn, because I know, when I was a budding young gay man, and now I'm a slightly older young gay man, it kind of warped my perception of what I was going to encounter. And then when I actually did encounter it, I was like, oh, you don't look like the perfect Adonis that was on the screen. What's going on here? But yeah, body positivity is a huge component, I think, as far as like making porn ethically. I won't claim to consume porn ethically, but I'm always open to learning how to do so in a better way.
Yeah, it's tricky territory in a lot of ways. The big picture solution, right, is legalization and management that makes sense, and that isn't wrapped around these kind of bullshit QAnon adjacent ideas of solving problems around sex trafficking and these other issues by basically driving all sex underground and these different things. So there's obviously a lot of problems that we've talked about on this show before with FOSTA, SESTA, and a number of other aspects of the way we legislate this. But Janice, the best advice that I can give you beyond, some of the websites Dr. Anna mentioned, or things like Erica Lust work and Lust Productions and things like that, would be to check out a great book by Dr. David Ley, who we actually had on the show a while back, called Ethical Porn for Dicks, a Gentleman's Guide to Responsible Viewing, which I think is just one of the greatest titles to a book ever created. So let me point you in that direction. But the basic policy or philosophy to be mindful here is to be paying for your porn. That's not to say that the fact that you're spending money automatically means that you are not going to run into any ethical snares or issues. There are absolutely gigantic porn sites that have really meaningful issues in the way that they, in just their labor management and the way they treat their performers. That being said, if you are spending money and contributing to the economy of porn, you are, in the vast majority of cases, on the side of the good. When you are consuming exclusively free porn, particularly free porn that is highlighting very young or teenage performers, or performers that are in these sort of like natural or amateur type settings, the likelihood of you participating in something that is clandestine and harmful dramatically increases. So I really want to encourage everybody to be mindful about paying for their porn, to look at where that money is going. Things like OnlyFans, as much as OnlyFans itself is kind of a problematic player, if the money is going directly to, or largely directly to, the performers, it's probably a fairly good setup. And better than OnlyFans are sites like I Want Clips, or there's a handful of great clips for sale. IWantClips.com. These kinds of different things can be a much better avenue for making sure that you are being a responsible consumer and not contributing to the issues that all of these bullshit laws that get in our way are meant to be preventing.
Thank you so
Janice,
much.
do you have any? Yeah, I was going to say, do you have any other questions for us at this point, or anything that you want to share as far as your encounters with ethical pornography?
So far, I've just been consuming free, so I need to stop that and find some good sites for pay for porn.
Yeah, and there are responsible free porn communities out there. FOSTA SESTA really destroyed a lot of them. But there are situations where, by being a little bit more mindful, a little bit more intentional, you can navigate around a lot of those concerns. But yeah, the bottom line of it is that you need to be paying for your porn, because it's a product, and we don't get a lot of things for free unless it's at somebody else's expense.
Yep.
Great point.
That's a really good point, Christy. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'll make sure to include links to Dr. Ley's book, as well as some other resources in the footnotes for this episode. So if you're jogging through the park and didn't catch that book title, and it isn't somehow stuck in your head, that's, again, Ethical Porn for Dicks, A Gentleman's Guide to Responsible Viewing Pleasure, and I'll have that included in the notes.
Thanks so much for calling in, Janice.
Or all of you. Yeah, great.
All right. Have a good one. All right. Well, that was a cool little subtopic there. That's not something that we, I think that I've heard discussed on the show before. At least maybe not in a while.
Yeah, I kind of kick myself sometimes because we did have a interview with Dr. David Lay, who is big time now. I saw him like 2 weeks ago doing Trevor Noah's show, and he's doing all of these big things, and it's always about either masturbation and like sex addiction type things, or around ethical porn consumption. And I was the nerd that wanted to talk to him about a completely different subject, and like the topic of his first book. I still kick myself. I think we need to have him back to go over some of these other things. But his book in particular is really excellent.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.